Howdy. I just spent 45 minutes making this video, and as soon as I got done, came to like a stopping point in my story. I have zero idea what I did, but it didn't record. Or it did record, but it didn't save. I don't know. Either way, I'm pissed. But I will try to go back to the story and tell y'all everything again, and I'm trying not to skip over some spots. One thing that I do, and I've noticed, is I just tell y'all, I don't really go in depth on things. I kind of just give you quick points on some of my stories, and other people have brought that up to me and stuff like that when I'm telling stories. Some people have said, "Oh, that's because your PTSD. Oh, you disassociate, you detach. Yada yada yada." I don't know why I do it. I really don't. Most of the time, I think it's just like I don't think to say it, or I don't think it's important enough to say it. So like I just don't. But I will say I'm gonna get better at it. I'm gonna work on getting better at it. That way I can give y'all all the good, nice, juicy details and ins and outs of some of these stories that I'm going to be telling y'all. But yeah, so I guess I'm going to dive right back on into it. So I think we're now on March 1st, end of March, April 1st, something like that. And Norway and I are going through the border. We get to the border, and as we're pulling up to the Polish border, he looks over at me and goes, "Hey man, I don't have a passport." I was like, "What do you mean you don't have a passport? How do you not have a passport? How did you go from Norway to here with zero passports?" And he tells me, he goes, "Oh, I don't need one. I just show my ID." And I was like, "What? How do you just show your ID? Like that don't make no sense." He goes, "Don't worry, we'll get through it." I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." So we go through the Polish border, no problem. Go on through, get to the Ukrainian border. I hand her my passport, and he hands her his ID. She's sitting there for a few minutes, doing her thing, and then she asks us to move the vehicle, kind of pull it off to the side and sit. I was like, "Damn, here we go." About an hour and a half goes by. We go to her little, and like she's still taking other people's passports, stamping them, getting them on through and everything like that. So we go over to her and kind of ask her, like, "Hey, what's the situation?" And she tells us, "Hold on, just wait, we're working on it." So I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." About I think it's like hour two and a half, something like that. Maybe 3 hours went by. The commander for the whole border crossing, comes over to us, and he goes, "Hey, are you?" We're like, "Yeah," shakes our hands, everything like that. He goes, "I'm so sorry. She started a process that she shouldn't have started, but now we have to let it play out with the command in Kyiv." And we're like, "Okay, like not sure what that means, but all right." And he goes, "But it's not going to be a problem. Are y'all hungry? Do you want some coffee?" He took us to their little break room. Literally, the only people in this break room were border crossing guards and the military personnel that was at the border. Like that's it. Nobody else. Like we're dressed in civilian attire. Like we're the only civilians in there. And he's buying us coffee, like little snacks and some candy bar. We're just kind of hanging out in there, relaxing, chilling. Then we go back outside and wait by the car and kind of just hanging out. And I think we're at roughly hour 4 or 5 now. We're like, "Man, we've been here all day." Literally got there that morning. Been there all day. And he comes back. He goes, "Hey guys, I'm sorry. It's still going to be a little bit longer. Still waiting on Kyiv to do their thing." He goes, "But come have supper, So we did. So again, we're the only ones going down into this little cafeteria they have, and It's just military personnel and border guards, and people are kind of looking at us like, who the hell are these guys like coming in here eating our food and stuff? But this commander, he paid for everything. You know, we sat and talked with him for a while and everything like that. And I think after roughly 6 hours, give or take, plus or minus, we finally got the stamp to be able to get on out of there. So that's what we did. We after spending 6 hours at the border, just literally kicking rocks up and down the little drives and figuring out if we're ever gonna make it into Ukraine or not. We finally got our stamps and got in. Come to find out, he did have a passport. He just had a passport card. It's like an ID card. So me being ignorant, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about these things because in America we actually have like a passport book when we go to other countries. But I guess if you're part of what is it over there, the EU or whatever, to where they don't have borders, they kind of just go wherever they want, and they just have to have that ID on them. But it's a passport ID is what it is. So anyways, so we make it into Lviv later that evening. It was probably, sun was going down, so probably 7 o'clock, something like that. And we get to our hotel in Lviv, and this hotel ends up being the like main stopping point for most foreigners when they come in through Lviv. Like if they're staying in Lviv for a while, more often than not, they stayed at this hotel, which was kind of cool and weird all at the same time. But anyway, so on our drive there, you know, I'm still messaging the commander saying, hey, you know, made it through the border. Like I'm here in Ukraine. Like, what's the next step? You know, where do I meet you? Like, what's going on? And still haven't gotten any word from him. No messages, no phone calls, nothing. So I was like, awesome, great, cool. Well, while talking with Norway and some of the guys back at the hotel the night before in Poland, several of those guys have already been in the International Legion. They were going home. And Norway, he had been in the International Legion. He went home for something, and then he was coming back. Was the story he told me. I don't think he had ever been part of the International Legion. But he after talking, we talked and stuff like that, and I get all these negative stories and opinions on the International Legion. He tells me, he goes, "Hey man, I have a couple of appointments and interviews with some units in the next couple of days. If you want," he's like, you seem good, you seem knowledgeable. If you wanna come with me and possibly join a unit with me, you can. So that's what I decided. So we ended up staying at this hotel together. It was a 5-star hotel, and I assure you it was not 5 stars. I think it was 5 stars back in like the 80s when it was built in during the Soviet Union. Like it was, if you could picture like a typical Soviet hotel, this was it. 100%. Very thin walls. I don't know if the carpet has been changed in like the last 30 years. It was all Soviet. It's the best way I can describe it. But one night was like 1,000 grivnas, which was like $30 US, give or take. So it was like super cheap to stay there. So we're like, sure, we'll just stay here. And so we did. We stayed there for the night. And then the next day, we had our first meeting. And this meeting was, I forget the guy's name. It was with the International Legion, but he was like the head spokesperson for the International Legion at the time. And how Norway and him have a connection, or how they got in contact with each other, was they're both from Norway. I don't know if this guy was Ukrainian and then moved to Norway, or if he was Norwegian and then moved to Ukraine. I don't know the exact dynamic of it. But anyways, that's what it was. And so we have a meeting with him. I'm telling him all my, qualifications, what I'm trained in, my specifications, everything like that, everything about me. And he actually offered me a job, doing like personal security for different political and government figures inside of Lviv and the Lviv Oblast, which I thought was pretty cool, but not what I came here to do. Like I don't want to come here and do personal security for politicians. Like I came here to fight. That's what I want to do. Like I would like to go with an infantry unit. And he told me he could easily do that. But before I said yes on that, we still had another meeting. It was like the next day or 2 days later with another one of Norway's contacts. So we just sat in downtown Lviv Square with this guy, drinking coffee, hanging out, and then after our meeting, we kind of explored Lviv a little bit. Went and had some pizza, and pizza in Ukraine is a million times better than, I'm gonna say, 90% of the pizza places in America. Like they do have Domino's, but like I think I've literally saw 3 Domino's there. Like, and I had Domino's there. It's literally the same here in America, and it sucks compared to like their pizza. Like all their pizza is like, it's not like quick assembly line pizza. It's like good pizza, fresh. Oh man, it was good. All the food there was fresh. Everything was delicious. Like they don't have junk. They have junk food, but like their junk food is different. Like our junk food or our fast food is Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, stuff like that. They do have McDonald's there, and McDonald's there is a million times better than here in America. You can actually like taste the meat, and it was weird to say it, but their McDonald's is fresh. It was good. It was delicious. I loved it. But one of their biggest things that they have, it's actually, I believe, Turkish food, and it's a shawarma or a kebab. It depends on who you talk to. But those things, whew, man, I will tear up a good shawarma. The saying, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Nah, fuck the Klondike bar. What will I do for a shawarma? There's a lot of things. That list is very, very long because those things are delicious. But anyways, we hang out in Lviv that day. We go back to our hotel, spend the night. The next day, we jump back in the car, and the meeting was in Ivano-Frankivsk. So we go to it's like 2 hours. I think it was like 2 hours outside of Lviv. We drive to Ivano-Frankivsk for this meeting, and I didn't really know who the meeting was with until we started driving, and I asked. I was like, hey, what unit is this with? Everything like that. And he tells me, he goes, it's the right sector. And I was like, what's the right sector? And he goes, all the red and black flags that you see flying and stuff like that? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, that's the right sector. And he kind of tells me about them. And I think really what he told me about them was a very ignorant viewpoint about them. I think it's pretty much what you can find on like Google or Wikipedia. And I only say that because I got to know a lot of people who were and currently are in the right sector. I also talked with a lot of civilians, Ukrainians, about the right sector and stuff like that. And I think that's just his ignorant viewpoint on them. But anyways, he tells me about them, and I have a buddy that has gone to other countries to fight and do contract work and stuff like that. So I message him and I say, hey man, I need a situation report on who these guys are. So a couple hours later, while on the drive, he sends me this report basically telling me, all their great accomplishments that they've had since 2014, fighting the Russians, all these things. He kind of tells me the ins and outs about them. Tells me that they're nationalists and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever, no biggie. And what a lot of people don't realize, nationalists aren't Nazis. Nazis were nationalists, yes, but they were extremists. Perfect example. ISIS are Muslims, but not Muslims aren't ISIS. Exact same thing. ISIS is an extremist. They of Islam, um, of the Muslim faith, and that's what Nazis were to nationalism. Nationalist meaning they want their country to be their country. That's it. Ukraine makes this, that, and whatever. We don't outsource. We don't really get help from other people. We do everything our country. Our country is first, is the most important. Fuck everybody else. And again, this is a very, 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 very broad explanation of nationalism. Most Americans, to a degree, are nationalists. Most people hear the word nationalist and they instantly think Nazis. But anyway, so we drive to Ivano-Frankivsk, and we get a hotel, spend the night. Next morning, we wake up, and we go have breakfast, and we're getting ready for this meeting. And we go to this little town square in Ivano-Frankivsk, and we're waiting on this guy to come meet us. And when he comes in, so I don't know who we're meeting. I don't know what they look like, anything like that. But all of a sudden, I see a guy wearing black boots, black BDUs, and a black blouse. And I was like, yeah, that's our guy. That's 100% our guy. I don't know who we're meeting, but that's him. Like, no questions asked. And sure enough, it was. He comes up and introduced himself. And it was weird. When he introduced himself, he was shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Man, that dude was just like that. I was like, all right, man, he's nervous. A couple foreign fighters, coming to meet him and stuff like that. He doesn't know us. We don't know him, whatever. So we walk into this building, and I believe it was like a cash exchange is kind of what I'm thinking it was, but I don't remember. And we walk down this little hall, and there's this big steel door, huge, thick steel door. And he hits a buzzer, and looks up at the camera, it pops. We walk in. We start going up these stairs, and these stairs are 100% Soviet stairs. Like not the same size, not the same length, different height in between the two of them. The walls, the ground, everything's gray. The building smells old. Like, think of a true Soviet building, and boom, this is it. Then we get to the top of the stairs, and there's another huge steel fucking door, and he clicks a buzzer, looks up a camera, and it clicks. I was like, fuck. Everything that Norway just told me was true. We're about to die. I'm about to walk into a room, and it has fucking plastic sheets and tarps everywhere, and this is my last day on Earth. If I answer one of these questions wrong, I'm done. But we walk down this hall, and we go into this room, and there's couches, a computer, desk, and everything like that. And we had this meeting, and it was a normal meeting. They were cool guys. We laughed, we had conversations. I told them who I was, what I did in the Marine Corps, my qualifications, my specifications, everything like that. And they were like, all right, man, yeah, cool, y'all are good. We have this, international battalion getting formed. It's not there yet. It's not ready yet. But, in a couple weeks, it'll be ready. And y'all be good to come on in with contracts. And we're like, all right, cool, bet. Sounds good to us. So we get done with the meeting, and I think we might have stayed in Ivano-Frankivsk again that night. Either that or we drove back to Lviv. I don't remember. But anyways, we go back to Lviv, and we stay in our Soviet hotel, our 5-star Soviet hotel. And let's say it was the next day, or maybe it was 2 days later. Everything seemed to be back to back to back to back to back. Just kind of happened that way, circumstances. But the next morning, while we're eating breakfast at the hotel, um, this this guy from England, we're gonna call him Ginger. I'm not gonna say what his call sign was or what he wanted it to be or whatever, because the dude was turned out to be a fucking clown. He was in Ukraine 100% for himself. If there was a camera or a journalist or anything that he could talk to and get his face in front of, he was doing it. He wanted to be the hero of Ukraine, solely be the foreigner who defeated the Russians and liberated Ukraine. Like he was ended up being on the Ukrainian news, like shooting an AT-4 or something like that from one of the battles he was in Irpin or Mashun or whatever. He also did not know the things that he said he knew, combat-wise. He should not have been there, period. Questions, if, ands, buts about it. 100% shouldn't have been there. Unfortunately, he was. I'll get into him later when I cover my foreigners in Ukraine, because God. Anyways, we meet him. He meets us, or he comes up to us because we were speaking English, and he asked us, what we're doing in Ukraine and everything like that. And he said, "Hey, I work at a training facility teaching Ukrainian soldiers, how to fight and how to do things. While y'all are waiting on y'all's contract, we all come help out." And kind of thought about it, and I was like, "Hey, man, I haven't been in the military since 2016. Now, that's when I got out of the Marine Corps. Was in 2016. I was like, I'm very confident in my skill set and my ability to do things. However, I am not confident enough that I can teach it. I'm still a little rusty in areas, and I don't want to teach bad things to people who are learning." And he was like, "Hey, man, it's good. Just come check it out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't." So like, you know what? We came here to help Ukrainians and help Ukraine. This is one way that we can do that. So we go that morning. We go to this training facility, and the people running it were actually these two English officers from the Royal Military. Excuse me. They used to be in the English military. They were not currently. They're veterans, just like myself and several other people, most people out there. But anyway, so sit down with the main guy who's kind of heading everything, and talk with him, and I tell him the same thing. I was like, "Hey, man, I got out of the Marine Corps in 2016. Like, these are my qualifications. This is what I know. I'm confident in my skill set, but I don't know if I can teach it." And he told me, he goes, "Every little bit that we can teach is a lot more than what they currently have." I was like, "You know what? You're right. That's true." So we decided that we were going to check it out. And at the time, they were teaching CQB, ambushes, combat medicine, patrolling. Excuse me, they were not teaching. We were not teaching. No, we did teach patrolling. Patrolling, reconnaissance, map reading, and enemy vehicle recognition. And I was like, "Man, that's a lot of classes to teach." And they were only teaching these students for 1 week. And I was like, "Man, that's a lot of classes." I was like, one of those classes alone in, the U.S. military is several weeks to a month long. Just one class, much less all those classes. So I was asking him, I was like, "Hey, man, how are you teaching all this?" And he was like, "We're just breaking it down to the bare minimums, the meat and potatoes of it, just so they have a small idea of how to do certain things when they go and fight. They have a small idea to possibly help keep them alive." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was like, "Well, CQB." I was like, that's my bread and butter. That's my baby. Like, I love CQB. Let me go check this out." I think we'll leave it there. I think that's a perfect stopping point. And then the next one, I'll talk about my time at the the training facility, teaching and running the CQB class, then ultimately running the training facility. Yeah, that's a good one. So hope you liked the video. If you didn't, stop watching me. I don't care. I'm still posting this stuff. If you did like it, make sure you like, subscribe, share the video. I also have my Instagram, that guy sleazy. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, complaints, feel free, drop it in the comments. I try to read through them and address different things in the videos if I can. If not, I won't. But yeah, guys, y'all take it easy. I'm out.